am Robert, and as usual, I'm joined by Midnight Medium and Deadforge.
So,
tonight we're diving headfirst into the cosmic depths of horror, as our guest has built worlds that feel like nightmares carved from ancient myth, blending Lovecraftian dread with surreal beauty and incredible technical artistry. So, without further ado, please welcome the visionary behind the show and Necrophosis, Aris Dragonis of Dragonis Games.
Hello, thank you for having me here.
But before we go any further, Deadforge, do you want to go ahead?
yeah, sure, why not? Let's get booming.
Booming! So, Aris, again, thank you very much for joining us. And how did it all start for you then? How did Dragonis Games come to life? Was it born out of, say, necessity, passion perhaps, or simple rebellion? How did it happen?
So, basically how I created my company. Before that, obviously, I was working for video games since 2011. I've worked for many indie video games as a 3D character artist. I used to create horror game characters. One of the most well-known horror games out there I worked for is Phasmophobia. I've made 4 ghosts for that game. I've worked for many other several indie horror games. I used to work since 2011 up to 2019. Before I made my first video game. And when I started making the sword, I had to make a company because I had to justify the incomes that will be coming from Steam. So I had to create a company. I created a company on my name as a sole ownership of the company. So it's just me in the company, and the rest of my co-workers they have their own companies in their name.
Okay. So it's like sometimes it's like a collaboration or something. You just say, I need help with this, and then somebody helps you, and I assume that the same is true of them, that you would help them out as well.
So basically in Dragonis Games, we're just 2 people, but every one of us have their own company. So I am collaborating with my programmer. My programmer, he's from Spain. We are just 2 people. He does all the programming in the games. I do all the visuals, animations, and whatever you see in the game. And we are doing some sort of collaboration for every next game we are going to make. And then we have a marketer who has his own company too. And we are collaborating again. And then we have some external freelancers and stuff like that for music, for soundtracks, for sound effects, or whatever else we're going to need for translating and stuff like that. So basically in Dragonis Games, we're just 3 people. I, my programmer, and my marketer.
Well, it's an incredible amount of work that you've got there. I mean, the game looks like it's made by, 25 people in terms of its visual design. It's so detailed, especially Necrophosis as well. Soon everything looks like a painting, So it's you're very clearly inspired by. I'm going to butcher the name. In fact, I'm not even going to try it. Medium, did you learn how to pronounce his name? I know you want to say it.
Let's try it. It's got this really hard swooping consonant thing. The classic thing in Polish is you've got like a really exotic consonant next to a D. So it's like, it's. Let me see if I can get it for you here. I'm gonna listen to it one time. I'm gonna try.
I can spell it for you if you want.
Yeah, spell it. Oh my god.
It's called Zdzisław Bekzinski.
Zdzisław Bekzinski.
Yeah, you can spell it that way too. It has two pronunciations, I think.
Yeah.
One is Zdzisław Bekzinski, and
Yeah. You always end up saying it within your own accent, don't you?
Yeah, the Polish people, they spell it in their own way because they have a certain accent and we don't. And we can spell it as English speakers. We can call it. We can call him Zdzisław Bekzinski. it's much more easier.
And is it HR Giga or HR Giga? How is that pronounced?
Giger, believe it or not.
Giger, yeah.
Giga,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Giga,
You'd
yeah.
think as a lifelong Alien fan that I would know that, but it's always been the back of my mind I've mispronounced.
There's like
Even-
one person
even
I've ever
knowing
heard that noted that, and it
I
was
say
like,
it
oh,
wrong
okay,
all
it makes sense. Yeah. So it's very few people actually give you and let you know that. So understandable. We've said a Geiger for this long.
So
Yeah.
given that you started out like mainly doing it solo, correct?
I started
What were some of
solo.
what were some of the hurdles of like I guess starting out solo, and probably I guess how was it working in Unreal? Because I think The Shore was also made in Unreal, correct?
Yeah, all of my games are made
Okay.
within Unreal. I started as a solo developer for the first 11 months of development of The Shore. I was completely solo. I have built the whole world of the game, like mostly of the world, like 80% was complete. I have made every character, every stone you will see in the beats on every level. But after 12 months, I started making a few blueprints for the programming side of the game, and I realized, I could spend another 10 months making programming blueprints and stuff like that, but I could also share my work with a programmer that obviously he will do much better work than me in the programming side of you. And that's when I collaborated with Adonis, my programmer. And yeah, for the first 11 months of The Shore, I was completely solo. For me, The Shore was like a hobby in the beginning. It was something like a side project while I was working for other video games. And when I started I remember a day I made a post on the social media on Facebook on Lovecraftian groups, and I posted a few screenshots from in-game. And within an hour, the screenshots reached over 700 likes and stuff like that, and 150 comments. And in a matter of 1 hour or so, and I was like, okay, that's it. I have to take this seriously, otherwise I will disappoint the people over here. But you said a few minutes ago that it has too many visuals. It's mostly the visuals carry the game. It's because for many years, I worked as a 3D character artist. For me, I grew up as a kid who knew how to paint, because my mother used to do huge paintings and nobody taught her how to do it. And that kind of skill passed through me. And I used to do paintings, I used to draw, I used to do digital drawings and stuff like that. And I wanted to evolve my skills even further. And when I saw that you can actually create characters is like painting in 3D, it's like 3D sculpting, I was really amused by it. And then I started learning 3D character modeling. And for many years, I worked for many video games. I made fan art of famous video game characters and stuff like that. So to me, to create the whole game solo, the visual part, it's really fun. It's like painting. It's not something, for me, it's not like it's not like working or something like that. I see it more like a hobby rather than a work.
How do you Sorry, Medium, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Just as far, I know most people do like the digital versions of painting or whatnot. Do you have any like physical medias, like watercolor or anything, any particular painting style that you like to do? Or do you do most of your work digitally just because of the nature of it being put into a game eventually?
I do have some stuff. Are you asking me if I have something physical before I create something in the game? No.
Yeah, I was curious if you had any mediums that you like to do, sort of like, like with a canvas or anything like that, if it's mostly digital for you.
No, I don't paint anymore. All of my works are now digitally, mostly 3D modeling or level design. But I do some miniatures. I paint some 3D miniatures. I sculpt them myself with my 3D program, and then I paint them IRL. I have a few here if you want to see them.
If you're willing to, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you. Wait a second. For example, that's one of the figures. This is gods from Berserk from the anime, and in my free time, I paint these, I sculpt these in 3D, then I print them with my printer, and then I paint them. When when I spend too many hours on my computer and I want to do something else based on my skills, I do some miniatures painting and printing.
Heck yeah.
How do you take, though, the concept of Lovecraft, of which obviously has inspired you quite deeply, and turn it into like a playable experience? Because of Lovecraft, of course, is a writer. He's not a video game designer. He's not a movie maker or something like that. How do you turn it not only into a visual medium, but into something that a person can play through? What's the process?
When I learned about Lovecraft, what really amazed me was that Lovecraft just has opened a door with the myth and the stories he have created. And as an artist, it gives me the ability to create even more stuff based on the things he has created. So it's like a universe that you can keep expanding it without changing it too much.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, I would say it's certainly more than tentacles and madness. That's what.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's more like philosophical.
Like an anime.
Yeah. Exactly.
What would you say are like the most important themes to extract out from something Lovecraftian to really get to the heart of it? Because I know there's a lot of. If you play, like we were talking about the Sinking City before we got on, and it's like, it's got some things that a lot of the other games just don't have. It gets the lore a little bit deeper, but it is still like a lot of the other Lovecraft games about a private eye who has visions, and you can go back to that Call of Cthulhu West Cyanide or Dark Corners of the Earth, and like there's a lot of them that are just playing in the same realms. But I was curious if there's anything that like stood out to you that's like when you do Lovecraft, it should have some form of these characteristics. To really,
When you say, let's make a Lovecraft game, the first thing I think in my mind, it's not about weapons or interacting with the beings or killing them and stuff like that. It's something much more deeper than the mind can understand, and the way you can visualize it towards the viewer, is to create an atmosphere that creates something unknown, something cosmic, or something that exists over there, but it isn't at the same time. That's the Lovecraftian appeal and theme I'm trying to portray through my games, rather than, I'm gonna create 10 Lovecraftian monsters and you will kill them, and then you will have to take the Cursed Dagger and summon Cthulhu. Yeah, that's the surface, the very much surface of the Lovecraft. What I'm trying to portray through the games is the much deeper level. It's the philosophical and the unknown feeling that you rarely feel when you see something horrific. That's what I'm trying to aim when I'm creating something Lovecraftian. It's not very easy, it's very difficult. You have to imagine the Lovecraft story. When it gets to you, it has to fit all the puzzles. For example, let's say the visuals is one piece, the characters is another piece, the music at the moment the monster appears or something happens or you read something, every puzzle, every piece must fit each other in order to give you the Lovecraftian feeling. Otherwise, it would be just another game that you interact with Lovecraftian and you monsters and you kill them. So that's what I'm trying to do through my games, is to deliver an unknown, horrific and horror feeling that gets you unease and something weird is happening here, but I don't know what it is, but it's happening. That's the Lovecraftian feeling that I have in my mind.
I think the mystery and the philosophy of Lovecraft is really the best part of it anyway. I mean, it's just like the unraveling of everything and what everything, the deeper meaning of the mystery or the location or whatever it is going on in each story that he ever told. And so when it comes to anything like that or anything kind of inspired by that, I feel like that's always the biggest draw. And if a game or film or anything else can really pull you in with the feeling of a Lovecraft story, then I really think that you can grab someone, no matter what kind of game it is, whether it's a more, action focused game or a more adventure like game. I think that's a very important, strong element that I feel like you should focus on first and foremost in a game like that. And it seems like, how you say it, necrophosis, right?
Necrophosis. I can explain why it's called like that.
Necrophosis. It is necrophosis. Necrophosis.
You can spell it both ways. Both ways are correct.
Okay.
The thing is, with the Lovecraftian horror, it has no boundaries. You can expand it, and for example, a jump scare horror game, it has boundaries. You can create up to it to the point that you get jump scared. But a Lovecraftian game, if you think of it too much deeply, you can create emotions that are not explainable. That's the whole point of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And the Lovecraftian mythos gives you that window, and you just have to open it, and you have to understand and look through it and understand what's on the other side and how you can use it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's really hard.
We all spoke at once that
All 4 barrels went off at once of the quad damage.
I was going to say, so real quick, I was just finishing off what I was saying previously, is I feel like the game really kind of, seemingly kind of bleeds those themes out, not only just like tonally, but just overall, the visuals and everything really seem like they're pushing that kind of element. And that's why it looks really cool to me.
I will not create something unless I get inspired from something. Otherwise, it will be a dull experience. It will not deliver the emotion the Lovecraftian game should have. So that way, when I get inspired from something, I transform it into a Lovecraftian experience, and then I try to portray it through my game, through my creation.
Medium, what were you going to say?
I was just going to kind of echo what Ari was saying, that the hardest part of the Lovecraftian, like adapting Lovecraft, is that you're not trying to capture something. Like, you make the pitch and you capture it, and then people respond to how well you capture that exact thing. It's having to capture the absence of knowing what a thing is. And it's kind of hard it's like a argument of omission, or what do we call it? It's what's not there that's what's affecting you the most, because it's like I was watching one of those recent Evil Dead movies, right? Those are not like incredibly deep psychological emotional experiences, except other than there's danger in their survival. But it's very much it's like what I call like the Resident Evilization of most horror movies. They always manifest physically, and you can kill the thing no matter how good the rest of the movie was. You end up just having to beat the thing's body to death, and it goes away. We solved it.
Yeah.
It's the trap the Lovecraft things fall into, is they just think, well, the monster's disgusting. What if I hit it enough times and it goes away? And it's like, but then it loses the entire point, is that it's not only is it repulsive looking, it's that you can't just hate it enough physically or in your mind and it goes away.
If I had to describe it,
go ahead.
If I had to describe it, when you are trying to portray a Lovecraftian feeling into the game, is like you are trying to describe the infinite with numbers, which it never ends.
Yeah.
So it's the same feeling.
Yeah.
It has no boundaries. So you cannot explain the infinite, because it keeps going infinite.
Yeah, it should always be like a boundless, limitless, like this almost like overpowering feeling of a thing or something that can't even be described as an entity, a feeling that's like all encompassing at all times. There is no physical body to it, kind of thing. That I think that's when you really hit that. It's just something beyond description. It's undescribable. It's kind of like, for instance, like the Color Out of Space short story you did. The whole point of it, even though in a lot of movies and games and so on, they give it this like magenta sort of color, but like the whole point of it was a color that was impossible to actually perceive by the naked eye, and the whole thing was just insanity, basically. And I think it's a good way to do it, best way to do it, really.
Yeah, there's never a protagonist in a Lovecraftian story that knows too much, and that's why he gets a glimpse of it, and he's like, no, can't do this anymore. It's not like he's like, oh, wow, I can't believe I just got to the bottom of that. That really does suck. It's like, there's no getting to the bottom of this, and I got to run now. Yeah.
Pretty much the end of every Lovecraft story is, you're right back at the beginning, basically. You're just like, I don't know any more now than I did before, really.
Like, ultimately.
But going back to the creative process, then, in terms of creating these worlds, we've talked about the feeling, we've talked about the visual and stuff. What about sound? So how does sound factor into your creative process when it comes to building worlds like this?
So, when I create a scene, I have already visualized the feeling that the player will experience in my mind. So, first, I try to approach that image, that feeling I have in my mind, by creating the visuals. Then, by the exact feeling I have in my mind, I'm starting to thinking like, what kind of soundtrack should I place in order to deliver that exact same feeling? Then I'm trying to find examples through the internet. Then I contact my soundtrack artist, who actually is Apollon Demura. He's the guy behind creating very well-known soundtracks, like for Avengers movies, for Harry Potter movies, and stuff like that. He's very good soundtracks, the best soundtracks out there for movies and stuff like that. And he's like, I'm trying to give him 3 examples, and I'm trying to deliver him through text, like, okay, listen to the soundtrack. It delivers that kind of feeling. I want something similar, but similar to this music and the other music I sent you. I need something in between, but also to deliver that kind of feeling. And he immediately captures my idea, and he transforms it into an actual soundtrack. So in order to create something, the pieces I said before, the puzzle, when he creates that kind of soundtrack, if it doesn't fit with the image I have created, if there's 2 important puzzles that not fit, you will not be able to deliver the feeling to the viewer. So the soundtrack must be equally strong and appealing as the visuals are in the game, in order for both of them to support one another and deliver the unique feeling that you have to deliver.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I had no idea such talent was working on the game. And I'm not even really a Harry Potter fan, but to have somebody of that caliber, that's working alongside you, it's like you don't have to worry about it. You know that the work is going to be good, right? Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Why?
I'm sorry for interrupting. When you are working with artists, they think much more deeper the feeling they are trying to create and approach. They can visualize it in their mind, but it's not explainable. It's like a Lovecraftian kind of thing.
I was going to say, call back. No great trickery here, just 3 fun questions. So question number 1. So you're trapped in a haunted house, but you only got 1 weapon, a rubber chicken. What's your survival strategy?
What's my survival?
Yeah, how are you going to survive in this haunted house with not but a rubber chicken?
I'm going to squeeze it really hard all the time to make enough noise to scare all the ghosts around me.
Oh,
done and
that made me
dusted.
laugh when... Yeah.
These questions.
Question number 2, since apparently that was a pretty easy one for you. If Poseidon offered to fund your next game, the Poseidon, but demanded it to be set entirely underwater with no air bubbles, which I assume means oxygen, would you take the deal?
Maybe. I don't know.
It's the Poseidon. How do you say no?
Right. It's a national
You-
treasure.
It's not H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh,
I don't
it's
know.
almost like turning your
Lovecraft.
family down with a name like Aris in the English pronunciation.
Maybe if you had Cthulhu as a pet, maybe I would accept.
Yeah.
That's when you know he's good for it. Alrighty, question number 3. If cosmic horror creatures had LinkedIn profiles, what job title do you think Cthulhu would have?
Cosmic Destroyer.
It's very true. Yeah, very true. I think everyone kind of just remembers Cthulhu, right? Even if you can't pronounce it, when you see the name, you're like, yeah, I know what it is that you're talking about. And you've got like all of the other Lovecraftian creations sitting in the background going, hi, I exist too. Can you do something as well? So this is what I love about Lovecraftian stuff. You know, you can go really deep into it and not mention Cthulhu at all, and it will still feel Lovecraftian because it's about, you know, visual language and an atmosphere and stuff. Yeah.
There is a whole hierarchy of family of Lovecraftian beings. They start from the number 1 and they go down to lesser ones.
Yeah. Although in your game, Cthulhu does have a sense of humor from what I remember as well. He's not all destroying. Sometimes he has a chuckle.
Sometimes, he's like a prophet, like a priest that he has to execute few things.
I was wondering, was it Lovecraft that called it the Cthulhu mythos, or is that just what's been back named by other people, just as sort of like a way to summarize it? Because it feels like modern people overemphasize Cthulhu to the extent of everything else. I wonder if that was ever like Lovecraft's intent.
That's what I was going to say. I don't think he would have called it that. It's just that everyone else has a shorthand way of referring to his work, right? And saying, oh, it's this the Cthulhu guy.
That's what I would think. Because, I mean, it's always been a weird thing to say that because there's so much more of all the different old ones and the deep ones and just the breadth of stories that are there. It's just, to call it the Cthulhu mythos to just like narrow it down doesn't make any sense.
Have you played any other Lovecraftian inspired games? So if I say Quake to you, have you played that?
I've played quite a few. Quite a few. I cannot get down to the names, but obviously not from the famous names, Sinking City and stuff like that, or Call of Cthulhu. I'm trying to think of other games, smaller ones that were inspired from Lovecraft.
That last Alone in the Dark was very Lovecraftian by the end, like actually name dropping a lot of them.
I've played Bloodborne, for example, which is also inspired by Lovecraftian mythology. I'm trying to remember other games that are
played
not very
Atomfall?
much.
That's a very Lovecraft-inspired game that doesn't seem like it on the surface. It's the recent Rebellion survival FPS RPG. I don't really know how you would describe the game. It's kind of difficult, but we should definitely check it out since you are a fan
I haven't
of
heard.
Lovecraft,
Okay.
It's very Lovecraft inspired in a lot of ways. It doesn't seem like it at first, but like the more you play, the more Lovecraft it gets.
So Dredge, there's Sunless.
I played Dredge. Yeah, I played it on the device, the Steam Deck device.
Right.
Really good.
Do you ever compare your game to theirs? And you're like, mine's a better Lovecraft game than this is.
No, I barely compare games because I see games as art pieces and each game has its own unique theme and trying to deliver something unique in their own way. I'm not trying to categorize games when it comes down to Lovecraft. For example, Scorn is Lovecraftian in a way. It is Lovecraftian in a way. So I'm not trying to categorize games, and I never compare games because obviously I always have in my mind, okay, we're just two people. We're not the team of 10 or 20 people. So what's the reason behind it to compare to other bigger teams? Obviously, any other bigger team that deliver the the same exact kind of work. We'll always do it much better because there are a lot of more people working on it. But yeah, I never had the mindset that my Lovecraftian game has actually delivered that feeling that was meant to be. But I never do that. I'm trying to realize what the creator behind each game has on his mind and how he perceives the theme.
Yeah.
How did your earlier games kind of influence, I guess, the most recent game? Because I know you've made 2 other games, right? So The Shore and I forgot the name of the other one.
Eresys. Yeah, Eresys. When you are creating a video game and you see your let's say The Shore was my first successful title. When the world knows you as a Lovecraftian creator, you have to keep making the same theme of games.
Yeah.
You cannot change. This sounds both job-wise or professionalism-wise, how you approach your work and stuff like that. And also, you have your audience. You cannot betray your audience, all right, for your next titles. You cannot go create Hello Kitty adventures for a third game. Obviously, they will be, what the fuck is this guy doing?
No, Lovecraftian Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
So,
when you create your first game and it goes very well, you have to keep the same theme for your next titles too, because your audience will grow. You will have more people expecting you for your next release and stuff like that. So it's very important to keep the same thematic appeal for your next games.
But bringing it back to your game and kind of within itself, like what it's trying to be, I noticed that unlike a lot of games, you have a little more of a literary focus in Necrophosis, especially like just within the first couple of minutes, you're quoting that William Blake poem, The Auguries of Innocence, and then I think it goes from there, it goes into Ozymandias, like straight up the whole through. And then of course you've got, Beksinski's inspired monoliths in the background and stuff like that. I was just curious, what drew you to those works of art specifically? And I guess the second question that I was curious about was, are there any other similar pieces of art that may have made their way into it that may not show up as obviously on screen?
So the whole thing of Necrophosis, when the base idea of Necrophosis, when I started making it, obviously my programmer was working for Eresys to complete Eresys. I started working for the Necrophosis. I started to visualize the world, start doing level design, making the first models and stuff like that. The whole concept of it was to make something very, very artistic, even the way the characters speak. The whole idea was, the first prototype idea was, every character should speak in a poetic way, but will that drift the Lovecraftian feeling away from the viewer and make it too artistic? So I had to limit it and use it only in specific locations and make it feel both artistically creative and both Lovecraftian, the Lovecraftian feeling. So yeah, the first idea, the prototype idea, was to create something fully artistically creative. That means sound-wise, dialogue-wise, visual-wise, and stuff like that. So yeah, I wanted to create like a painting coming to life, but
well, you certainly succeeded.
Yeah. That was my first goal was to create a painting coming to life, and you experience it. Something that you don't see it very often in video games, because there is a debate online like, are video games art? And of course video games are art, because every aspect of the video game is made by artists, soundtrack artists, 3D character artists, level design artists, animator artists, and stuff like that. You need to have some kind of artistic skills in order to understand what you are creating. So that was the whole idea. What was the second question?
Yeah, I was curious, either on the cutting room floor, if there's something sort of subtly woven in, were there any other, paintings or poems or anything else that maybe kind of subtly woven into the game that you may have to point out?
Firstly, I got inspired by Beksinski because when I wanted to create my third title, was like, okay, I should create something that you cannot easily find on Steam Store or PlayStation Store or whatever. I have to create something unique, and no one has created something that is inspired by Zdzislaw Beksinski up to the maximum point possible. So, and also by coincidence, when I was creating the sword, while I was creating the sword a few years back, my mother came to me and like, why don't you create something based on Zdzislaw Beksinski, the Polish painter, since you love so much horror? Why don't you create these horrific paintings? That was like, no, mom, please give me a break. No, that sounds very stupid. No, I will never do that. And then I started to think about it and like, oh, okay, she has a point. She has a point. And then I saw that few games used it in their visuals. For example, the Medium, I think it was one of the games, and they did it really well. They executed very well the visual part in some locations, stuff like that. Then Scorn did it. It was a mix, but it leaned more towards H.R. Geiger rather than Beksinski. It's like the Beksinski feeling was like only 30% on their visuals and more like
shadow.
Yeah, and I tried to lean towards like 80% Beksinski and 10% Geiger and 10% from other kinds of artists that were inspired by Beksinski, and they did their own versions of creativity. So I tried to do a mix of both, but the mindset was to use Beksinski's influence much more than the rest of the artists. So yeah, that way it has a certain thematic across the whole gameplay.
Sorry, I'm just laughing over here because I was looking up Beksinski inspired games, and the Alpha Beta Gamer thumbnail popped up, and it's just like this very Beksinski looking NPC from your game, and then like the dick gun from Alien on the other side of the screen. I was like, oh yes.
The gun was a tribute. Yeah, it was like a reference to the space jockey from the Alien movies. It was intentional, just to make the viewer say, "Oh, I know that gun. It's from Alien."
What does a typical day look like for you then? What sort of workflow are you operating on?
Well, I will wake up very early in the morning, take a coffee, eat something, then instantly sit on my computer, work for like 4 up to 5 hours, then stop to eat with my wife, then we might go out for coffee, and then when I return, I will work up to very late, like 2 a.m. at night. Yeah. And most of the inspiration comes in the late hours. So sometimes when I'm fully focused on making something, for example, the main menu from Necrophosis, have you seen the main menu? I've made this in 2 days, the whole main menu. All the assets, the level design, stuff like that. Imagine I spent like 16 hours, and the next day I spent another 16 hours making it. So when I get fully inspired and motivated, I don't give up on it. I take that feeling and I use it as a fuel to create something. So sometimes there will be moments that there will be days that I will spend like 6, 7, 8 hours, or there will be days that I will spend like at least 12 hours a day on my computer creating stuff. And to me, it's not like something, oh, I'm getting tired or I don't have enough energy. I don't feel that unless I finish the whole game. The stress and the anxiety pops out after I finish the whole game. It's like a machine working, and when you turn off the machine, it has been broken down. But also I go to the gym. I work out a lot because I'm sitting too many hours on my computer, and sometimes it's not that good because the blood stays down on your legs and you have to keep moving and stuff like that. So I try to balance it by going to the gym, sometimes working out and stuff like that. So I try also to be active. Sometimes I go for pole spearing, catching fish and stuff like that. Sometimes I go for snowboarding. So I'm trying to balance the days of my, how many hours I spend and how many hours I'm active, stuff like that. So it's very important for health. Yeah,
it sounds like you're aware of what a sedentary life can do to you. I did the same thing. I started working in construction just because it got me out the house. Started socializing with people. It got me exercising. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But when you are home, when you're doing your thing, do you say, today I'm going to work on story, and then tomorrow I'm going to work on mechanics? Do you organize it that way, or do you just go with the flow?
No, I just go with the flow. And sometimes when I am in the mood that I'm going to work for the next week all day, every day, my mind gets really dark. For example, I have to constantly listen to movies and stuff like that are really dark in order to give me inspiration. And I'm creating a whole world inside my mind that keeps inspiring me to create stuff. And for an average human, it's super dark, but for me, it's something normal and I like it. I cannot explain it. It's almost Lovecraftian. It almost feels supernatural when creating, when I'm in the mood of creation. Sometimes I create stuff, I see it in the game, and I'm like, oh my God, I made this. This looks too fucking good. I love it. And when I get to that point, it gets scary because it's like, I don't know, I don't even recognize my mind. Like, oh, I made this. Okay, it looks cool. Yeah. Sometimes it's like that, and sometimes it's very chill. I spend like 4 hours, 5 hours, and so on.
Yeah.
So you've essentially got to set up like a kind of a mood board in a way to kind of keep yourself in the mindset of where you want to be. Simply.
Yeah. I most of the times I have a second screen, and I will load movies and I will listen to the headphones. I don't even have to watch it in order to get in the mood while I'm creating stuff. Yeah, it's like the mind of an artist works like it needs fuel in order to use it and manipulate that fuel in order to create something, to deliver something that actually delivers a certain feeling, whatever that feeling is.
Mm-hmm. I remember the developers at Creative Assembly, when they were making Alien Isolation, just kept the movie on loop the entire development cycle. Or I think it was like after the first 2 months, they just left it on loop at the office. So it was always on like somewhere major for them to always just kind of be able to tap in, like, and that's what I'm doing, living up to that. So I think that's a pretty underrated aspect of creation, is kind of keep yourself tapped in all the time.
And that's why the game was good, because they constantly got inspired by what I just said. They were watching the movies, and that helps you set you in a mindset to capture that feeling. And in order to capture the feeling, you have to get inspired, and then you use it as a fuel to create something.
Now, I'm sure this question is probably case by case, but especially since you're watching so many movies, are you ever kind of like that idea hits you and you're like, okay, I want to do that idea my way that I just kind of felt from whenever I was watching or listening to or reading, and then you kind of start the process anew? Or are you kind of by yourself in your own mind, you come up with the idea and then you kind of go and find like things to keep yourself and going towards that idea that you came up with?
Let's say I want to create a specific scene in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I will watch like movies or series, and let's say there is a series I'm watching, and I will get a moment, a few seconds from that series, and then I will take a few seconds from the other movie I watched. I try to combine it and create a unique feeling, and then use it, this concept idea I have captured in my mind to create something. So it's not something like I'm copying directly from somewhere else. It's not like that. It's like I'm getting inspired from that scene, from that view, visual style, from that movie, and from that color or from that color palette, and then I try to combine it as a puzzle and then create it and use it.
So what do you think that mainstream horror game developers could learn from the indie games, like indie horror and just indie developers in general?
Well, indie developers are not afraid to create. They are not afraid to risk and create something unique. But mainstream companies and big companies, they cannot have that kind of risk, because if they fail, they will lose a lot of money. But the indie developer has nothing to lose. That's why he creates something unique and becomes more successful, because new ideas capture the curiosity of the viewer. So yeah,
Sure.
mainstream games are counting on their titles, successful previous titles, and they try to milk of it. So keep milking the title. So yeah, but the indie developer counts on new ideas, new emotions, and stuff like that in order to create curiosity and capture the viewer.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
somebody
I mean,
handed
yeah.
you 200 million,
What?
if somebody handed you 200 million and said, we're going to remake one of your games, how would you change it?
Yeah. How would obviously I would have made the game much bigger. I would make it like end up being like 200 hours of gameplay. The visuals will be more.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I will try to expand every aspect of it to its maximum potential, but me as directing it. But if someone else will direct it, there's obviously it's not my work, it's someone else's work.
Yeah.
It will not be the same. So yeah, if I had a huge budget, obviously every aspect of my creations will be maximized to the maximum potential.
It sounds like you're saying, to some degree, the limitations are actually kind of more conducive to showing exactly what's in your mind versus having to like accommodate like the scope that budget would make someone think needs to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. For example, when I was creating Necrophosis, I had an idea, and based on that idea, I had 10 things in that idea, but I had to cut off 7 of these things and make only the 30% of that idea in order to make it work based on our income and time and stuff like that. So if I had a larger team, obviously I would have made that idea to its maximum potential, 10 out of 10 things.
You keep those ideas still. So like one day if you're going to make, Necrophosis 2 Necro, 2 Phosis, or whatever, do you like put those, do you like use those ideas and you think, let me keep it in a folder and I'll use it for a future game?
Yeah, I will use them for my next game, since technologies are are evolving every year, and Unreal Engine also offers us much more freedom in some creative ways we want to test. But yeah, for example, my next game will be, for example, I'm working now on a sanatorium, and after that I will make Protonphosis. It's the prequel of Necrophosis.
Okay then.
So yeah, on Protonphosis we will try, every game we make, we try to be a little better with its title. But that way we are trying to use the technologies the Unreal Engine offers us. It gives us the freedom to do so. So yeah.
So forgive me guys if I'm asking too many questions, so cut in, but it's just my train of thought is going. If they're all Lovecraftian games, do they take place in the same universe? I'm not saying like Marvel shared universe sort of thing, but I'm saying one day there's going to be a Dragonis mythology, right?
Yeah, all of my games are connected in some sort of way. Just players pay a little more attention.
Yeah.
For example, the main villain from Eresys appears in Necrophosis, and Nyarlathotep, obviously. And in the store, I have a few Easter eggs in Necrophosis too, and Eresys. Some people just have to seek them. But yeah, all of them are in the same world.
How do you pronounce that villain's name again? That's the villain of Dusk as well, right?
Of Dusk.
Dusk at the end of Dusk, the game.
Yeah,
it gets Lovecraftian, so it's probably possible.
It's a Lovecraftian. It's a Lovecraftian god. It's the second most powerful Lovecraftian deity. It's called Nyarlathotep. It's not easy. It's Egyptian.
Nightmare. Yeah, he was in I think Alone in the Dark 2024 too, along with Shub-Niggurath or whatever. Yeah. Old Egyptian guy.
Yeah, exactly.
The Wanderer or whatever he is. Yeah, that's the problem with the Cthulhu-centric thing, is everybody that's at the top gets left alone, and you kind of forget who else is out there.
There's a lot of them.
Who's the one that the lady that's got like 1,000 kids or something like that? I know she's.
That's Shub-Niggurath, I believe.
It is. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah.
That's
the one from Quake as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Shub demonetized, as Trav calls her.
Yeah. I have to say it very probably incorrectly to avoid certain.
Of course, things. Yes. Of course, yeah.
She's going to really emphasize every aspect of it to avoid it.
That you gets a soft U, not a hard U.
As long as people understand context, right? There's no woke cancellation going on here, right? But going off the back of the question I asked earlier on, if you had 200 million, then. Are there other people working at that level? You cross me as someone that would probably work well with Raphael Colantonio. Are there people at that level that you would like to work with? Directors, composers, that sort of thing?
At the moment, I don't have someone in my mind, but when I create, I want to create the visuals on my own, because for me as an artist, it's like it's like a goal to me. Create all the visuals by myself in order to express fully 100% what I have in my mind. So for me, it's not the difficult part. So if I had to work in the future and collaborate with other big artists, that wouldn't be the problem. The problem is the budget.
Well, hopefully you can work your way up, obviously Necrophosis was successful enough for you to think, yes, I can make it an expansion for it. I don't like the use of the word DLC. I prefer expansion because it's an expansion to the story. A DLC can be downloadable skins or something, whereas this is something that you have to map out and create.
Sturbeck-Shinsky paintings get slotted.
I know. I keep thinking of what's the game with the golden horse? The first downloadable was Oblivion, was it? Yeah, to me that's DLC.
Oblivion.
Whereas the Doom the Dark Ages Revelations.
The DLC versus expansion is kind of like an argument you could have similar to remake versus remaster. It's like one of those things of there's really no difference, but until you give it like a lot of context as to what makes it different, even though it's all just kind of the same thing.
Yeah. Have you played Doom the Dark Ages?
Yeah. I've
what did you think?
All of the...
What did you think of the Lovecraftian?
I liked more Doom Eternal, but Dark Ages was good too. It was a fun service, the way they use Cthulhu in the game, obviously. Yeah. They want to please the fans, and they saw that the Lovecraftian element of video games is starting to appear in the surface. So they tried to do that too. So big companies try to do anything in order to capture more audience, and that's obviously what any company will do. So I really like the appearance of Cthulhu in Dark Ages, but obviously, it was not there to deliver the Lovecraftian feeling. It was for another reason.
It's kind of
random. Shit, what happened to him, though? No spoilers for anyone that hasn't played the game yet, of course. No.
Ari, I know a lot of games like the ones you're making will sometimes get called, not saying I've heard about yours specifically, but games like them will get the walking sim moniker, right? And people would kind of just wave them off and go, yeah, I'm gonna play a real game. And I was curious, what draws you to that type of gameplay? Because I mean, you're really sticking to the niche, like intentionally, like this is what you like doing, and this is kind of what you want to be about, and this is kind of what people expect. What would you say to the naysayers of that don't seem to get it? I know you probably just occupy a lot of your minds, or like your mentality when you're making something, but like all three of us on the podcast all love games that are called walking sims, right? The Dear Esther's or the X horror games, the PT style things, whatnot. We like them.
The Sora was actually inspired by Dear Esther. It was the main reason. The main concept, the base concept of the Sora was for a man to walk by the beach and narrate stuff. Very simple stuff with nice visuals. So it was like an inspiration to the Dear Esther or something like that. Yeah. What people say, yeah, it's another Lovecraftian walking simulator and stuff like that, but they have to understand that as an indie developer, I'm very limited to the budget and what I'm going to create and how much time I can spend creating these things in order, to survive as an indie developer. I cannot work for a video game for 5 years, and make something very complicated and then risk. Every game we make obviously has a risk. For example, if you make a walking simulator, you instantly have an audience behind it that maybe not be a very large audience, but it's an audience that will buy your game. And there are people that they seek more complexity into your game. And that's when risk starts to appear. If you want to make a game with much more complexity, much more complex mechanics, you need a larger budget. You need your ideas to evolve your ideas into mechanic wise and how they will work with mechanics in game. For example, for our next game, Protonphosis, it gets more. We add more complexity. So. It's not just a walking simulator. The arms of the player transform into guns and stuff like that, and different weapons. Or, for example, your hand transforms into a key or anything else you need. So yeah, we are trying to add more complexity to our next games, and people, obviously it will not be. But there's another thing. Let's say I do this, all right. Then the people will judge you as an FPS game or whatever, and they will criticize you based on the idea of being an FPS game. Oh, your FPS game is not that good compared to other FPS games. That's because you added complexity, so your game becomes something more. That's when you have to support your game with your creativity and make it equally good based on the previous games you made as a walking simulators. So yeah. It's like you are stepping farther into the ladder, but in order to do so, your ladder needs to be stronger in order to support your steps.
They're in farther away from the shore and out into the sea.
Yeah.
Unknown waters, Lovecraftian waters.
Ari, have you heard of? That's a stupid question when I say it. Harvey Smith.
Oh, no, I never heard him. Why?
Right, so Harvey Smith is our next guest. Obviously been associated with some very large franchises out there. And I've completely forgotten any of them now that I've started talking
Dishonored.
about
Dishonored.
Yeah, Deus Ex, right? Yeah.
Deus Ex.
Yeah. Thief as well.
Yes, I think Thief, Deus Ex, and Dishonored are the main ones. Deathloop. I think.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he worked on. No. He didn't work on Deathloop. He worked on Redfall, not Deathloop. That was Leon, which was headed by Dinga.
I wonder if we should work on that with him. Yeah. You're like, hey, how was Redfall? 3. Oh, right. Okay.
We definitely should mention Redfall when we talk to him.
You can risk that. I don't want to and then suddenly he gets angry and he's like, "Fuck Microsoft" and all that.
I don't think he would get angry. I would say that he probably, okay, I would say that he probably loved making that game. Like, as far as every aspect of the game itself, I am sure that nobody on that team liked the crunch. Nobody on that team liked the forced elements that were put on it. But I have a feeling that everybody on that team enjoyed the themes and everything else going on in that game, because like the narrative themes and the art style and everything was really strong and really, really cool in that game. But there was just so many other things that didn't quite come together.
So if you had the opportunity,
until we talk to him next time.
Exactly. If you have the opportunity to put a question to somebody of that caliber, what would you ask that person?
Is it really true that the hardest part when creating a big game with too many people, the hardest part is it the collaboration? That's my question. If the hardest part when making a game is the collaboration one.
Okay,
when you're trying to explain to your co-workers how to do their job.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to put that question to him, and we'll see what his answer is then. With your permission, of course. Yes.
Of course, yeah, of course. Why not?
Fantastic.
Have you guys read any Lovecraftian books?
No, I have several graphic novels around it, which I can't get to at the moment. But I always wanted, like, old books, like actually buy the original run of books and have a shelf of Lovecraft and stuff. I always wanted, like, Lovecraft and then Arthur Conan Doyle, H.G. Wells, all of these kind of, iconic, older type of writer, Isaac Asimov, that sort of thing.
They're not easy to read, but very fun if you want.
I can imagine.
Okay, we got the big compendium over here of the obvious, right? The guy, the main man.
All right.
But we've got this one I like too. That's very inspired by it. This is by the same guy who made Hellboy. So this is
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone even called this possibly what the Sinking City ripped a lot of his ideas off from, but who cares, right? It's all good. It's all good.
Well, every artist copy another art. So.
Right. Yeah. We're all borrowing from the best, right?
Sense.
Of course, yes. What is it they say, that all creators steal, but great creators steal from the best?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. I've always liked that. Good
I
shit.
think Deadforge is fishing something out there.
So he's got to have something on all those shelves.
Either that, or we've just annoyed him enough that he's just turned his back to us, and it's like, the hell with you guys.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
But,
No.
I was trying to figure out where my Color Out of Space short story was, but I'm not sure where I placed it. Because I do have that, but I have a really good audiobook version of Shadow over Innsmouth. I'd like to get a physical version of that as well. There's so many other stories that I want to read of Lovecraft.
I have the Necronomicon myself here.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
Oh, heck yeah.
Summon the dead. Cool.
So thanks everyone for watching the Quad Damage podcast, and we'd like to thank our guest today, Ari. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And if you'd like to check out any of us, I guess I'll start with myself. You can. Oh, actually, no. I'm missing a person. Let's just go to Ari first, actually. Then we'll go to me and then work our way around. But anyway, Ari, where can we find all of your games, social media, and any way to keep track of anything you're working on or any announcements and so on?
You can find the SOAR on PlayStation and Steam and Xbox. You can find Eresys on Steam. You can find Necrophosis on Steam, and then you can find Necrophosis Full Consciousness, which has the DLC 2 in the main game on PlayStation and Xbox. And then you can find me on social media by typing Dragonis Games or Necrophosis Games or the SOAR game. Yeah, both on X, on Facebook and stuff like that.
Awesome. So I'll go to myself. You can find me at Lorda RPG on X, Deadforge on YouTube, Deadforge on Patreon. if you want to throw away $1. I've been kind of slacking on getting some stuff out, but I'm working on returning to the Gears of War series, so there's something cooking there that'll be out the next few months.
You're playing it earlier.
Yeah. I'm about to roll credits on the first one. I'll be starting the second one. I'm probably gonna go all the way through to the 4th game. I don't own the 5th one, so I'll just wait to do that one later. Yeah, that's where you can find me. So where can we find you, Medium?
Yeah, Midnight Medium on YouTube is primarily where I haunt, talk about horror, RPGs, a lot of retrospectives, deep dives, a little early aughts nostalgia as well. So find me, I guess, a Midnight Medium, I think, on Twitter. My memory serves. I'm also over there on TikTok for some reason, posting shorts and stuff over there that you may or may not see on the main channel. So come check it out.
And of course, Robert, where can we find you? And then, of course, Quad Damage as a whole.
Yeah, I'm on x.com, Robert Yapp 80. 80 is in the year I was born. We're also on YouTube Music as well as YouTube, and on X at the Quad Dam Podcast and Reddit at Quad Damage Podcast. Send nudes.
Yeah. Keep on booming.
Jump scare.